Welcome back, everyone, to Grand Tactician, the Civil War. It is September 1862, and we are continuing our Confederate campaign. If you haven't seen the campaign up to this point, there is a link in the description that will take you all the way back to the very beginning. We're in the process of evacuating Washington, D.C. We just could not hold it, and we had some real supply issues. Ewell's Corps only has 12% ammo right now. There was just no way we were going to hold against the onslaught of Union attacks. But the good news is we don't need to hold Washington. We have taken Pittsburgh, and we are advancing everywhere else on the north. We still hold southern Illinois. We are advancing well into Kentucky. We're having a little bit more trouble in the Trans-Mississippi Theater over here, but I'm working on that. So there are these three separate forces here, 9,500, 22,000, and this is just a Army headquarters, so they don't have the full thing there, but that 22,000 is actually a part of that. I don't know where their other corps is, but I'm going to try once again to try and get at him and isolate and hit part of his army without having to take on the whole thing. All right, we have a glorious victory at Fort Walker. That is over in central Kentucky, where we took this Union fort that was right here. There's also a hospital there we're going to capture. Army of East Tennessee took care of that. We're going to move them up toward Louisville. And I'm going to also, I think, move Johnson's Corps over toward this supply depot here. And then take the other corps, Beckham's Corps, up here to try and help take Louisville. We're also about to complete our latest policy. Oh, blood and iron. Bismarck gives his famous speech. We're about to complete government funding, which hopefully should get us out of our current credit rating, which is CCC, which means we can't do anything. And then we're going to have to go to the Conscription Act. We're going to have to institute the draft, because I know the Union's probably going to do it soon if he hasn't already. In fact, as soon as we get to October, we can see what he's working on. Let's get our intelligence report. He's working on government funding too, so he is not in the process of doing the draft, but we know he's going to do that at some point. Okay, Beckham's Corps of the Army of the Tennessee, along with the Army of East Tennessee, which is 12 hours away, is going to be taking on some unknown Union forces. This is on our march toward Louisville. In fact, this is a battle right in the outskirts of Louisville, which this could mean being able to take the city. And if we can take the city, and if we can drive out the Confederate armies, or the Union armies, I believe we can get Kentucky to secede. So this is a meeting engagement, so the objective is going to be right in the middle of all of our units. And this is interesting. It looks like I actually have all of my forces, even though it was saying they were 12 hours away. Looks like they're all here, and morale's pretty even. So we're in good shape for this fight. We're going to start by moving everybody as close as we can to the objective, and then we'll kind of go from there. We're going to come in up this way with one corps, come right through here with the other corps. We're on the Perryville battlefield, which makes total sense. That's a central Kentucky fight anyway. So Battle of Louisville, here we go. All right, well, as we're moving into position over here, we're already spotting the enemy, and it looks like his divisions are facing that way. So it's going to start right in here along Bull Run, of all things. Numbers right now on the field, estimated 34,000 for the enemy. So we've got a distinct advantage there. I want to try and find a spot for my artillery. And it looks like maybe right over here is going to be the spot. I'm going to have to adjust them a little bit once we get into position. All right, we're starting to make contact. We've got Robertson's brigade making first contact. They still only have Springfield muskets. We've got to get these upgraded. We've got guns available. I need to go through and just upgrade everybody. So those skirmishers will take on these guns while we get the rest of our units into position. Let's go ahead and send out some skirmishers from the Gulf Shore Gators, one of our only 3 Battlestar units. They have had a lot of great success on the battlefield. Moving a division into place here. He hasn't started responding to what I'm doing yet. I'm sending Sibley up from AP Hill's men to grab the objective. I'm going to send McCrae out here just to kind of screen a little bit. Maybe send them even further. I think most of the Union Army's over here, though. In which case, we need to start moving some more of our divisions. Let's put Cleburne's division over here in the town of Perryville. There are some Union units up here. So let's send Wheeler's division right up here in beside Sibley. And then we're going to bring Gordon's division around. But I'm going to do that individually since I've already got units over there from his division. All right, we have definitely encountered the enemy up here on the northeast side of things. McCrae's poor brigade is the one that's going to be facing the brunt of that. We're going to try to pull them back. We're sending in 2 divisions. Forrest and Wheeler's divisions are going to dig in right along what I thought was a ridge, but I guess is really kind of ridges going this way. That doesn't really help me a whole lot. And Cleburne's division, which originally was going to move into Perryville, we're going to also bring them up, but I'm going to put them in a reserve position behind those other 2 divisions. All right, he's starting to react now that he realizes I've got him on 3 sides. Let's move Crawford over here with the 1st Texas Volunteer Cav to cover the crossing there. And we'll wait and see how he reacts. I'm trying to get my guns in position where they can actually fire. It's going to be a while before these units get into position. All right, McCrae's brigade's basically taken on what looks like it could be an entire corps. Let's go ahead and dismount. He's going to take major casualties and break, but he's going to buy time for me, which is key right now, while I get the rest of these units into position. I'm going to put Wheeler there. I'm going to put Forrest right in beside him. Try and get the artillery up here somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. It's not really in a good spot for him. All right, here he comes. Let's go ahead and call in our skirmishers and then advance. I'm going to send Gordon forward. I want to be hitting these guys on every side if I can. This should collapse this entire force here. It's at least a couple of divisions there. Well, it looks like Albert Pike got into position quickly. So the cavalry broke as expected. I started sending Sibley forward, but now I'm wishing I hadn't. Everybody's starting to make contact over here. Got our 24-pounders going at it. 1st Tennessee Heavy Artillery. Robertson's brigade here. Over here we've got Walthel's brigade. Tennessee Home Guard. And now moving into position we have Whiting's brigade. Ransom's brigade. And we're going to very quickly make quick work of them. Gulf Shore Gators right there. Hungarian Impalers, also a 3-star unit in terms of the battle honors that they've won. All right, we're starting to get in position with this corps over here. We got plenty of more units still coming up the road. Things are starting to shift our direction. Gotta watch Withers. He's taking the brunt of this right now. Alright, we're gonna swing Pender around. And now we'll start coming down on this side. Gosh, I'm just gonna advance them straight forward. We want to try and smash this entire force over here, and then just kind of hold on this side. Man, he's got a lot of men on this side. Virginia Brigade's only got 600 men left. We got to be careful with them. All right, let's get some more units into the fight here as quickly as we can. Smith, you're gonna get killed there. Alright, we've got these guys bottled up. I think we should be inflicting some good casualties here. We've taken 2,500, inflicted 3,300, but we have the advantage, and our morale is now higher than theirs. Especially as we start seeing Union units break all over the place. A little bit worried about this here. There we go, we broke Willits. I think as soon as we smash a few more brigades over here, this battle will probably be over. Who's taking casualties? Smith, Virginia Brigade. Yeah, they didn't have that many men to start with. That is not ideal. Oh man, they're down to just 300 men. Alright, get out of there, Smith, while you still can. He's going to break in a second. I can't believe he hasn't already. Alright, we're going to charge into these guys. I want to try and break this line. Same here. We might even capture some men this way. He's lost 6,000 men. That did not take long. That is a quick 10,000 casualties on the battlefield between the two sides. It just shows you as the game progresses, just like in the real war, the casualty numbers just get higher and higher to where it seems like they almost get desensitized to it and they just keep fighting. Yeah, we completely smashed them over here. I want to try and do the same to Emory if I can. That might be enough to win the battle. Beautiful. That should be about it. There it is. All right, so the numbers right now, 4,500 casualties for me, 7,500 for him, which is a quarter of his army. That is a brutal loss for the Union. Let's go ahead and upgrade our administration reform, which is going to reduce the amount of time it takes for new policies. Our credit rating did not improve with our financial policy print notes too. We are working now on Conscription Act. It's still 26 days away, so it's going to be a little while on that one. We're going to have to, I think, go ahead into our finances and look for ways to reduce spending. Politics can't be one of them, or we won't be able to do new policies. Diplomacy's got a lot of money we're putting into it right now, so we're going to drop that down. All right, it appears we have indeed taken Louisville. I'm going to send the Army of East Tennessee up there to occupy Louisville so I can get Beckham's corps back down with the rest of their army, because I think at some point we're going to probably need them. Though right now it seems like everything's going pretty well. I'm going to try to make a move on St. Louis if I can with the Trans-Mississippi Theater. There doesn't seem to be a lot stopping them at the moment. All right, he sent the House to come at me in Pittsburgh. Johnston's army is facing a nightmare scenario where we've got over 60,000 men. That's a 3-to-1 odds. I don't like my odds there. I'm going to go ahead and withdraw from Pittsburgh. We really don't need Pittsburgh. We've got him so reduced everywhere else. But that means that he has, I think, once again abandoned Washington. So we'll go ahead and start moving the Army of Northern Virginia back into the city. All right, looks like we've got an army there that we're going to take on. Unknown units totaling a little over 40,000 men. So going to be about even. The problem is, of course, my army doesn't arrive for another 20 hours. So we're going to be behind in terms of getting deployed. All right, so he's dug in right here, and we do have our whole army right off the bat. So we're in a situation where we're going to have to be able to break through his line by getting across at some key point somewhere. And I just don't know if I don't think we can cross this creek anywhere but the bridge. Now there's a bridge right here. We might be able to get at him over there. So let me get this set up. Let's get our artillery in some key spots to soften him up, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're going to shoot it out with the guys in his parapets right off the bat here, but what I want to do is I actually want to bombard a very specific part of his line if I can. In this case, right in front. We don't use bombardment very often on here, but this is definitely a case where we could use it. All right, he's starting to shift more units that way, which means we might be able to just go ahead and jump across the creek here. See how we're doing. I only lost 12 men so far. Now we're losing a lot here, though. Alexander's brigade. All right, he was well covered on this particular bridge here, but he's not covered on either side. I don't know why Garnett's brigade broke with 87 casualties when they got across the bridge, but we're crossing with some lead cavalry scouts on both sides here. I'm trying to pull back and just let my artillery do their thing in the center. All right, there are some units coming down the road here. So I want to start by hitting this cavalry, or hitting this artillery while I can. Mainly I want to get across right here, and I've got 2 divisions crossing on that spot. I'm going to go ahead and send some infantry up that way. Pretty even casualties so far. We do have more men, so that helps. The main thing is we're able to get across. So he sent one of his brigades down to the river to start shooting it out with me, and I am more than happy to oblige him on that. We've got the Florida lead launchers with Mississippi rifles. We've got Forney's battalion of 12-pound Napoleons able to pour into him as well. And all of that distracts him while we get 2 divisions across the river. So right here, we just want to kind of keep him occupied. I'm going to send Buford over here to harass this cavalry, or harass this artillery, while we send an infantry division led by the Tar Heel Rifles up here to engage. Alright, he's sending men down here now. Let's send Cummings up here to go keep them busy. I want to get Buckner moving as quickly as I can. Actually, we need Buford to mount up. Fighting in his home state of Kentucky. Oh wait, we're not in Kentucky anymore. We're in Washington. I can't keep track. Hit him. All right, Cummings is going to keep them occupied. We're going to overload these guys with a full division coming at them. Tar Heel Rifles will be first. They're taking some major casualties, but given as good as they're taking. These two units here, Seminole Scalpers and Bibb County Boys, do not have a lot of men. So we need to be careful there. We do have the Georgia Zouaves. I might send them across to charge into this unit. Oh, we got somebody in the rear here. That is not ideal. Let's send a whole division over to deal with them. Alright, my cavalry broke. I have another unit, though, that can head up there. And then what we'll do is we'll send the units from Crutchfield's division to go hold the north while we swing around with Buckner. Alright, we're driving him back. I don't know why my army commander is right there. There's not the place for him to be. But let's bring Smith's division around now. There is a whole division back here. Casualties pretty even, but we'll take that. We are fighting for Washington. Alright, Buckner, let's push forward. Alright, I think we're going to have to engage this unit coming down on me here. Which is totally fine. He's got skirmishers across the river here. I have a lot of artillery lined up around here. Florida lead launchers have lost 1,000 men. Wow. They got Mississippi rifles, so sharpshooter makes sense, even though they're about to break because they've lost half their brigade. My goodness. It's starting to shift in my favor. But again, it's going to be heavy casualties. I don't know why these guys are not facing the enemy as they should be. Hit these guns. Ah, my cavalry just broke. Tar Heel Rifles are losing men. Well, I can see why. They're all by themselves fighting against 2 brigades. Let's get them some help. All right, Buckner, we need to break these guys. VMI infantry is going to come right in on them. I'm going to send McCulloch up here. Alexander's brigade suffering heavy casualties. Where are they at? It's all these units in the center. Man. He broke. There we go. Really just a series of separate battlefields in a way. This is a really disjointed and kind of confusing fight. I really have very little over here except for my artillery. Rams are broke. Cummings broke. Alexander broke. Pond has broken. Posey. Jeez. Even casualties, 6,500 on each side. It's not good for my morale situation, though. Bibb County boys taking major casualties. Georgia Zouaves are about to break. They've lost 1,000 men. Man, this is nuts. It's not a good situation. I can't afford to lose 7,000 men. It was never going to be good when we had to attack. We're always better when we defend. When we have to attack, especially across the river against a strong position like that, it's never going to end well. We've got a lot of units I've got to try and rally. Okay, almost 10,000 men lost. We lost 23 guns. We took out all 45 of the enemy's guns. And 8,500 casualties inflicted, but can't afford that, especially in Lee's army. I just don't have that many men out there to begin with. All right, Army of Northern Virginia is already short-handed because we had sent a division out west. I think what we need to do at this point is we're going to transfer some men from the Army of the Shenandoah over to Ewell's Corps to try and make up for some of those losses a little bit. And we're going to pull back to a more defensive position in Virginia until we get the draft instituted and we can start replenishing some of these depleted forces. All right, looks like the Trans-Mississippi Theater has successfully taken St. Louis. We've got to make sure that they're well supplied now. And we are about to get the draft, 2.5 days, and now we can start replenishing our manpower a little bit. He's only got us by about 30,000, but I'm just trying to get on top of him because I know that he's going to go for the draft himself. Army of East Tennessee against... I'm trying to avoid any battles right now. And if that means I have to give up Louisville, then I'll be willing to do that. Because since he had those armies in Louisville, or in Kentucky, we weren't actually taking Kentucky anyway. My goodness, look how many armies he's got headed there. I'm going to try to consolidate my forces. What I want to do right now is I'm actually strategically redeploying by pulling back while I get the draft passed so I can start getting some of these units replenished, and then we can go on the offensive again and hopefully win the war in early 1863. There is conscription. All right, we can't build any new units because of our current credit rating, but we can at least get conscription going. Then we're going to do war bonds next, see if that can't help out with the financial situation. I want to look now at what we've got available to us as far as manpower goes. All right, we've got 273,000 available recruits from the draft. So hopefully we can start replenishing these units a little quicker now. So every day, for example, Lee's army is going up by a couple of hundred men, and I'm guessing that's probably the case all across the board. So we're at 220. See, his men fielded is going to start going up now too. We're at 227.50 overall. All right, Army of the Shenandoah needs to keep pulling back. I'm also going to try to pull the Trans-Mississippi Theater out of here, but they're engaged in a battle in St. Louis that I'm not a part of. What? Oh, we're getting into, this is going to be Chapter 3.
Well, that war is so terrible, or we should grow
it's a quote from Fredericksburg.
Robert E. Lee. Chapter 3. A war so terrible.
All right, so we've unlocked the Chapter 3 policies now, which is going to include Slavery Restriction Act, which actually I think I would prefer to war bonds. That's going to give us a plus 20 on European intervention, which sits at only 33% right now. Union national morale has gone up to 43. It was down in the 30s for a while there. National support's pretty even across the board. His men fielded's approaching 300,000. We're at 221. We are probably at the place that we could just tweak our finances a little bit. Why is it taking 53 days for the Slavery Restriction Act? I don't quite understand why that's taking so long. It didn't show that long before. Let's go to our finances. We're going to have to reduce our spending even further across the board. We've got to try and get our credit rating up so that we can, You know, and I wonder if reducing tariffs would probably help us with the issues with the European powers, but it would also reduce what little income I have coming in. Okay, it's November 1862. We are going to wrap it up right there. We'll be back again in a few days with the next episode. Hopefully, we'll start to see those numbers go up. We can go on the offensive again. We can pass the Slavery Restriction Act by the beginning of 63 and maybe get British intervention at that point. Who knows what will happen? A lot still to be decided. Thanks for watching.